this. And I hope that you guys are too. And like I said, we should have a really, really, really solid night. And then I'm going to hang. So after I get done, I'll share our story with you. And I'll have a bunch of talking points weaved in there about a bunch of really, really important topics. Does anyone here know theology of the body? Have some of you studied or learned some? All right, I'll try and weave some TOB in there for you. I love that. It's one of my favorites. It's like a treasure. And I was just saying to a couple of the gentlemen here, I'm Catholic, so I hope you guys don't mind. So for anyone here who's Catholic, you might hear some of that. If you're not Catholic, you're my Christian brothers and sisters, so that's all good too. And I love you. And you know, and I always say, gosh, you inspired me. I was telling Gus in the car on the way up here because I was born and raised Catholic, but you know what? I never picked up my Bible. I never knew my Bible well, and that inspired me. When I met a bunch of really faithful Protestants, and it was like, man, I need to be more like that. I need to be more in, you guys already know that about Catholics. Sometimes they go through like the roots, you already know, so I don't have to tell you guys. I understand you're very, very intellectual here. So, and then after we get done with this, we'll take some time for Q&A. You'll notice I'm super vulnerable. So anything that you want to ask, or if we want to have some healthy dialogue back and forth, if you want me to help equip you with some things, just for your own lives, or ways that we can bring forth our Christianity into this insane culture that we're living in, I'll try and help equip you guys a little bit better. That's part of the reason why my wife and I started Mission Love and Life, is we noticed a lot of gaps out there. We noticed what we were lacking as we were growing up, and then we're raising our children, and we see what's lacking in the schools and what's lacking in the culture and the environment. We're like, oh man, we got to do something about this and try and help fix it. I think there's but the one main core focus of what we're doing is pointing people back to relationship with Jesus Christ. That is the main thing, because sometimes there's like too many ministries and it almost becomes a distraction. So I was like, oh gosh, our world needs another ministry, like a hole in the head. But you guys can feel confident. We're not doing this for the money. I just want to, we both have regular full-time jobs, and so we're truly doing this because we want to help you guys. We have a lot of areas of focus, hope and healing, which will come across in our story. But one of our main married couples, we were just up in the Diocese of Allentown, which is like Northeast PA, if you guys know that area. We just had like 25 or 30 engaged and married couples on Sunday evening, so we drove up there with them, and I had a beautiful night with them. And so we work on all these different things. If any of you know Ascension Press, where we teach marriage prep for Ascension Press, we've done that for a long time. We speak in schools, colleges, high schools, whatever. But one of the main things that we've always been focused on is helping young people like yourselves to just learn how to have healthy relationships. And we want to help you guys before you run into some of the problems that Tricia and I ran into, especially when it comes to dating and all that kind of stuff. So that'll all come out. Good? Yeah. All right, did I tee it up? All right, great. Before I forget, let's get a picture. Hold on, we'll get two sides, okay? Wait, you're in. There we go. All right, now we'll get this one. Beautiful. All right, thanks, guys. So I've been doing this for a long time now, and but most recently we've had some really compelling comments from our young people. And we were at some schools in the Philadelphia area just in the last couple years, and like really compelling. One of them, are you guys for the most part all pretty pro-life, would you say? Yeah? All right, great, because perfect. All right, so that makes it easier. All right, I'm preaching to the choir. Good, all right. Well, I got to tell you, in some of our schools in the Philly area, as you can imagine, that's not the case. So we have a Catholic school in the Philly area, and they have, I think it was like 109 or 107 juniors that are all going through the morality class. Out of those 107 or 109 juniors, guess how many of them said they were pro-life? Less. Yeah, less than 5 is really bad. 3. And guess how many of them were girls? So Tricia and I come in there and we start sharing our story and talking with the students a little bit, and we brought in other speakers that day. And this one Latino girl comes up to us and she said, she was like just talking to us privately after at the end, and if you guys want to hang and talk, I'll hang and talk with you guys all night. If you want to grab something to eat after, we can grab whatever. Like, I'm here for you guys. So she comes and talks to us, and she says, you guys are different. And Tricia and I were like, different? All right, is that a good thing? And she was like, yeah, you're not like the other chastity speakers or like the pro-life speakers. You guys actually understand us. And we're like, yeah, we understand you. We were you. And so that was nice. She said, my mom had an abortion and my grandmother had an abortion, and they feel very, very judged by the pro-life movement. So she was coming to us as like a pro-choicer saying, wow, I think you might have won me over a little bit because my mom, my grandmom have told me to believe X, and now I'm seeing that maybe there's a Y. And you guys can appreciate that at a school like this where we just want to bring others to the truth, right? I'm at another school. Oh, another young man that day. We do stuff in Kensington. Have you ever seen videos about Kensington? It's like the heroin capital of the world. It's so bad there, and it's right in our backyard. So we'll go down and make like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, serve, give like socks and coats and hats and stuff like that in the wintertime. And this one kid said, Mr. DeMaio, thank you so much for what you guys do down in Kensington. And I said, yeah, no problem. And he said, no, you don't understand. My mom's down there. And I said, oh, man, I'm sorry. And he said, and I said, well, who do you live with? Do you live with your dad? And he said, no, actually, my dad was a drug addict also and left and went back to Colombia when I was like 5. And he said, so I was living with my mom, but now she's an addict also and she's on the streets. And I said, gosh, man, who do you live with? And he said, and he pointed to the deacon that was like a little way across the room. And he was like, I live with my grandfather. And I'm like, oh, man. So I'm seeing these broken families and these broken situations. Another girl, it was so sweet. You know when you're giving a talk sometimes, like in your class, and you don't know if it's landing on the other side, you know, a public speaking message or whatever? There's this girl in the back, and I don't know if she's buying it. She comes up at the end of the talk, and she says, this was Bishop Shanahan High School, and she says, Mr. DeMaio, thank you so much for being here today. And I was like, oh, no problem. And she said, no, you don't understand. My boyfriend and I we're talking about everything that we're going to do this weekend because my parents are going to be away. And now I don't know that we don't have to do any of that stuff. And I can't wait to tell them. And I was like, I was trying to play it off cool, you know what I mean? But I like pretty much did a backflip in front of her. I was so excited. I was like, yes, you know, this is so good. We just want to help couples that, you know, to understand. And so that was beautiful. I had these other girls. I was walking with them. We were going from one class to another. And these two girls were like, Mr. DeMaio, you have to give the same exact talk in 6th period. And I said, okay. I was like, I'll try. And they're like, no, you don't understand. Our boyfriends are going to be in that class, and they need to hear this from you. And I'm like, all right, great. So this is our goal. This is our mission. Mrs. DeMaio, I wish she was here, but she couldn't be out here just because of work and all that. But she would share with you ladies like how to just be full version of yourselves. And that's our goal, is to raise up you guys into just strong, biblical, you know, authentic masculine men. And then we want to hopefully get, you know, these really, really great ladies and these really great guys, and hopefully get you guys together at some point so that this way we can create more marriages and more babies and more families, right? All right, so let's get started. So this is Tricia and I. This is my Tricia. She grew up on a farm down in South Jersey. Yeah, my little cowgirl. And I guess she liked Miss Piggy back then. But she was so cute. I didn't realize when God made her, I didn't realize that he put an indelible mark on her soul. And I didn't know it when I first met her. And I know that now. And this is me. And she met me. I grew up a block from the beach. If you guys know the Monopoly board, I grew up next to Atlantic City. So my mom and dad are poor Atlantic City kids. My mom grew up on the orange properties, and my dad grew up on the purple properties on the Monopoly board. And I grew up one town over. It's called Ventnor, and I grew up a block from the beach, and it was the best. Really cute. My mom and dad met and started dating when they were like 14, and they would hold hands and walk down the boardwalk into Ventnor, and they would say, I wonder if we'll ever get to live here someday where the rich people live. And so I was raised in Ventnor, and to them, that was where the rich people lived. We weren't rich, but like coming from Atlantic City, so that was us. That was my life. I didn't think anything of it. So God puts this wonderful, indelible seal on me. I'm a child of Christ. He puts this wonderful, indelible seal on Tricia. She's a child of Christ, a daughter of Christ. And then we meet. And so this is us in high school. That's us sitting on our mom and dad's couch back like senior year. That's one of the proms, probably senior year. That's us out in Las Vegas at one point. But here we were, these two kids who met in high school, and we fell in love. Actually, our anniversary is coming up in a few days, our dating anniversary. I'm getting old now. We've been dating. This is going to be 33 years. Yeah, we're married. We've been married for 22 years, but 33 years is when we started dating. I asked her out on Valentine's Day, which just passed, so I feel like I should mention this to you. We had this mutual buddy that I got there to this high school, and I was at an all-boys prep school, and then I transferred to her high school. I thought I was transferring for basketball. Little did I know, God was introducing me to my future beloved. And she had a boyfriend when I got there, and then we had this mutual friend, and he gave me her number, so I called her. I asked her if we could start to, we used to say go out back then. It was like you were exclusive with each other. And so she turned me down. Like, yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Thank you. My point exactly, right? I'm like, don't you know me? I'm only kidding. So then call her back a week later, and that was February 21st. And when I called her back, she said yes. And God's so good that as He would have it, one of our children, our daughter, our oldest daughter, Alyssa, turns 18 on the 21st. She was born on our dating anniversary. It was just another little way where God was just telling us how much He loves us. But I have to tell you guys, when I met Tricia and we started dating, I fell into the trap that a lot of young couples fall into, and I didn't understand love properly. So if it's okay, I just want to take a quick minute on that. When I ask people and I say, hey, what's the opposite of love? What do they usually say? Hate. That's the most common answer. But what's the real answer? What's our theological or our biblical answer? What's the opposite of love? True opposite. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lust. Sorry, I stepped on your bag. Lust. Thank you. What else? Give me another one. Oh, thankfully I didn't kick that over. That was good. Yeah. What's another one? Yeah. Thank you. Apathy. St. Maximilian Kolbe says indifference. The greatest evil of our time is indifference, right? That would be apathy. Give me another one. Yes. Absolutely. Selfishness. Thomas Aquinas says love is to will the good of the other. To will the good of the other. That's true love, right? That's a self-giving love. I'm giving of myself to you. I want what's best for you. In Italian, they have two ways of saying I love you. Te amo is the romantic version. I love you. Ti voglio bene also means I love you, but what it really means, the actual true translation, is to wish it well on the other person. You want the best for them, like St. Thomas Aquinas taught us. So lust or apathy or indifference, right? And so those are the real opposites of love. Unfortunately, I didn't understand true love. Do you guys know the 4 Greek words for love? Have you ever heard those? Some of you? All right, so English language does this no justice whatsoever. The 4 Greek words for love are eros, which is romantic love. It's a good thing. You don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed by it in any way, shape, or form. God wants this. Gentlemen, He wants us to look at a young, beautiful lady and say, oh my gosh, man, God, you do great work. She's beautiful. I'm so attracted to her. I want to get to know her. Kind of shy or whatever, but I need to go over and introduce myself and talk to her or whatever. Ladies, same exact thing. If you see a guy, we don't want it to go too far, so we could talk about that, that we can't have it turn into, but He wants that. That's eros. He created it. That's Adam and Eve in the garden. You want the answers? We go back to the garden for a lot of this. But then there's other loves, which is philia. Philia is that friendship love. That's like you text somebody in the middle of the day, and it's like, hey, just want to tell you I love you, or I see how you were doing, or whatever. Or you're sitting on a couch and you're binge watching a show together. There's no romance in that, but it's a love. It's a connection. That's philia. Storge is like the love that you have for your family. That's storge. And then the last one would be agape, and that's that unconditional love that God has for all of us. So that's like the height of all love is agape. So that was just a quick thing on love. When I met Tricia, unfortunately, I was lusting after her. So as I was lusting after her and not understanding how to take those eros feelings, those romantic feelings for her and how to place them in an ordered way, I was operating in a disordered way. And that disordered way is much like the world. So unfortunately, we become intimate with each other almost immediately. Well, fast forward about 1.5 years, and I get a phone call from Tricia. And I'll never forget this, guys, because it's real life. It's exactly what happened to us. And we are good kids from good families. Like I said, I'm happy to know that I'm allowed to say, that we're Catholic. I didn't want to offend anyone, if there is, and I don't want to cause a religious, like the Dave. But we grew up Catholic. Like I was an altar boy from the time I was in second grade. Priests used to come over to the house for dinner on Sunday nights. So for those of you who are non-Catholic, like if you have a close relationship with the pastor and they come over to the house or whatever, like that's what we had. We were involved in the school and the church and all that. That wasn't enough. That was like a lowercase c relationship with Christ. We didn't need it an uppercase C. I needed someone to teach me theology of the body and teach me when you meet a girl and you have strong feelings for her and you really, really like her, like how do you handle that? I needed all of that stuff. I wasn't equipped for it. So I get that phone call from Tricia about a year and a half in, and as soon as the phone rings, I go running. Oh, this is the old days, not cell phones. This is house phones plugged into the wall. So I go running, I dive across mom and dad's bed. I answer the phone. Hey, she says, hey, Pete, it's me. Hey, honey, how are you? We start talking, and she says, Pete, I'm late. I'm late. And I'll never forget that because, men, I had an opportunity right then and there to be a strong man, masculine, biblical masculinity. I should have been. I was born and raised with the faith. Why wasn't I? And unfortunately, I just folded in that moment. And ladies, you need to demand this of the guys, okay? Whenever I'm giving a talk, so guys, cover your ears for a second. Whenever I'm giving a talk to just the girls, I always tell the girls, you hold the key to this whole thing. You really do. If you give the guys what they're looking for, they might never grow up because they're going to get what they want from you without you ever calling them to something higher, to something greater, to that true masculinity that Tricia calls me to now in our marriage, like husband and father, protector, provider, leader. That's what we're supposed to be. If you give a guy what they want and there's no string attached to it, why do they have to? There's a saying, it says, why do I have to buy the cow if the milk is for free? Kind of a crude statement. And that's what that statement alludes to. So I always say, ladies, you have the key, and here's what's cool, and you should know this. So please remember this. If Tricia wouldn't have had sex with me back then, when we were met, and we tried to do that, and I walked away from her because I only wanted that from her, then was I the right one for her? No. And ladies, that's how you can find out. You have to put guys to the test. Sorry, guys. You have to put them to the test to see if they're willing to give more of themselves and come up to another level for you. And if they are, I got news for you. If Tricia put me to that test, I don't think I would have walked away from her. I really, really liked her a lot. And I liked her for more than just pleasure or more than just that, right? And that's how you can find out, honestly, ladies. And for guys, I would just say we should be looking at ladies and not objectifying them. Pope John Paul II says one of the main problems with pornography right now isn't that it reveals too much about the other person. It reveals too little about the other person. There's so much more to the other person than just the skin, right, or skin deep. So that's unfortunately, and I did love Tricia, but I was also looking at her in that context. So what did I do in that moment? Unfortunately, I repeated the words that I heard all my boys say down the shore where I grew up. Where I grew up, they said, if your girl ever gets pregnant, you just get it taken care of. What was taken care of? Abortion. Yep, thanks for saying it. Yeah. What was taken care of, everybody? Yeah, say it. It's something we should say, and we should understand it, and we should confidently speak against it. It's horrible. It's one of the worst things that Tricia and I have ever experienced in our lives, and we have to live with it to this day. And thankfully, we have this wonderful God who's willing to forgive us and redeem us, but it doesn't change the fact that that still happened. I can now, men, talking to just you guys, there is nothing that is more unnatural than paying another human being $500 cash to dismember your own child. Nothing. I'm old now. I've experienced a lot of things. There's nothing that I look back on my life that I regret like this. It's an actual torture. And it really hit me when we got married And then we had our first children, and you're looking at this little baby that you love more than anything, and then you have to recall what you did. Oh my goodness. What a burden that, you wonder why, some people are suicidal after this. So you would have think that Tricia and I would have wised up, but unfortunately we didn't. When Tricia's here, she says, it's so weird. We walked out of that abortion facility in Atlantic City. We have no idea where it was. We went in there as young kids, as seniors in high school, and we walked out of there just different. We were like shattered and broken in a way. We never talked about it with anyone. We never talked about it with our families or friends. We never got any counseling. We never talked about it with like a religious leader, like a pastor or a priest. Nothing. So it was just in here. And our relationship after that became really, really toxic and dysfunctional. Like as if it wasn't already lacking, in some ways. Now it became really, really toxic. I went off the rails a little bit, unfortunately. Drinking, drugs, partying in college. Tricia was following me in that. And Tricia always says, but the one thing that caused that horrible situation was us having sex with each other. And she said, but we kept doing it. It was almost like this like thing that helped keep us together in some way. And we had that tie to each other because of it. And we could talk more about that and break all that down, but we did. So we kept being intimate with each other all through college. She was at Villanova University. She was a nursing student. I hopped around to a couple different colleges. And then let's fast forward a few more years, guys. And you know what? I get that phone call from Tricia again. Because that means that an act of our sexuality actually went right. It means it's working, Like when we go into our cars and we hit the gas pedal and the car goes forward, you don't get shocked, That's like, whoa. If your tomato plant at home, grows tomatoes, you don't get shocked that it grows tomatoes. But for some reason, we're in this culture where we think we're going to be intimate with each other and we're not going to have an unplanned pregnancy. That means that an act of our intercourse went right. So here she gets pregnant again. Well, we both said there's no way in hell that we're going to tell our parents. I mean that we're not telling our parents. There's no way in hell we're doing that again. So Tricia said, honey, I'll call my mom and dad first. And so she gets on the phone with her mom and dad. And unfortunately, we never made it to my mom and dad. Her mom and dad kind of gave her an ultimatum. And they said, honey, if you want to graduate from Villanova, get that nursing job at the hospital, continue on, go back to graduate school, do your nurse practitioner degree, kind of like keep on with your life, then it would make more sense for us to come and pick you up. And so it's interesting, like I can tell you from the guy's perspective, but it's really, really interesting to hear Tricia's heart on this one. She says that the people that I loved and trusted the most were Pete, my boyfriend, and she says, and of course my parents. Who wouldn't trust their own parents? And she said, both of them led me astray in both of these unplanned pregnancy situations. I was relying on Pete, and he took me to a Planned Parenthood. And then I call my parents, and I figure mom and dad know the right answer to this situation. And they told me that it would be better if I got an abortion and just, graduated and became a nurse. And guys, this is real, and this is going to happen to people. Maybe not each one of you, hopefully none of you after my being here, but it's going to maybe happen to a roommate or a friend or someone that a family member. What do we do with them? How do we handle it? How do we help them put the pieces back together? Because after that, I was so angry and resentful towards Tricia's parents and towards her. It took two of us to make that second baby, and we agreed we weren't going to do that. But how many of us got a say in that decision? Just one. And that's the world that we're living in right now. When I hear the words, my body, my choice, I cringe when I hear that. I cringe when I hear it. I lived through that. I know what that's like. We said we weren't going to do it, but that's what that whole mantra is it's not about the two of you together making decisions together as a couple. It's about pitting men and women versus each other and making us out to be enemies instead of out to be complementary. This isn't good. It's not healthy. It goes against everything that we believe as Christians. So I had a lot of forgiving to do, and I couldn't handle it on my own at all. Like I said, I was really resentful and angry towards Tricia and her parents for a long time. And then all of a sudden, I knew I needed something. I needed God to show up in my life, but I didn't know how. And so here's how he showed up in my life. My brother gets diagnosed with cancer. My mom gets diagnosed with cancer a year later. So I have my mom in one hospital bed and my brother in another. Have any of you lost anyone really close to you from? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's such a horrible thing to watch. And I promise the good part's coming soon. So just hang in there with me for another minute. And so here I have my mom and my brother, and I might lose both of them, and I'm in my mid-20s, and I have this girlfriend, Tricia, that I love, and I know she probably wants to get married. We've been dating 10 years already, so she's like, come on, let's go, get on with it already. It's time to grow up. Like, forget ring by spring. We're like way beyond that. We're like 3 years past that point. And so, but I'm looking at our relationship, and I'm saying, man, if 50% of relationships end up in divorce, marriages, and if you live together, you cohabitate, the stats are like 2/3 or 3/4 that you'll wind up divorced. Well, I'm thinking, gosh, we live together. Now I'm thinking we have this dysfunctional relationship. We've had these abortions. The second one, I got no say in it. I'm thinking, my gosh, if we get married, there's probably like a 90% chance we're going to wind up divorced. I still love Tricia, and I know she loves me, but I'm like, I don't see this working out. So here comes God with an absolute Hail Mary to save us, like he always does. When my mom and my brother have cancer, I'm about to lose them, and I don't know where to turn. So very, very humbly, I went back to church. I had left the church after high school, and I was done. And I go back, and I basically went back on my knees and said, God, would you take me back after everything that I'm done? I've tried everything. I'm successful. I make a ton of money. We travel and go on all these trips. We buy nice things. Like, we're living the life. If you looked at she's a nurse. She works at University of Penn's hospital. She's doing her graduate work at Villanova. Like, if you looked at Tricia and I on the surface, on paper, we looked like a picture-perfect couple. Like, they've been dating for 10 years. They love each other. But the truth was, we were so damaged and broken inside. That wasn't who we really were. That was just what we looked like on the outside to other people. On the inside, we're broken. So here, I'm like, how's this going to work out? And then I went back to God, and you know what, guys? That healed everything. Healed everything. I went back to him, and I said, God, can you fix this? Can you fix it for me? And then I proposed to Tricia, actually right before that. I gave her a little tiny box, ladies, for Christmas, and she opens up the little tiny box on Christmas, and what's inside of it? No, go ahead. Yeah. Did you say it? I said a turtle. No. Actually, that would have been probably better than what I gave her, honestly. No, there was diamonds in there, but it was diamond earrings instead of a diamond engagement ring. It's a wonder she didn't chuck them at me right in my face. So I give her these diamond earrings, and I thought that I was buying her another nice, expensive gift. But what did she want? She wanted my commitment to her, to tell her I love you, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. And so we're at my parents' house for dinner, and I'll never forget it. She's standing in the other room in the kitchen, and she's like, Pete's going to buy me diamonds. I'm going to have a diamond bodysuit, but this finger's still going to be empty. And I'm in the other room with my brother. He's looking at me with one eye because the cancer attacked his eye. He's got 11 tumors in his head. He's like 50 pounds lighter than normal. He's dying. And he looks at me, and he says, Petey. They call me Petey. And he said, Petey, you love Tricia, don't you? And I said, yeah, of course I love her, Mike. Yeah, like almost like guy talk. Like, yeah, of course I love her, man. Like, why? And he says to me something that changed me. It was a game changer. He said, well, if you love her, why don't you give her a ring already and marry her? Ladies, remember when I said you can call guys up to a higher level? My brother called me up to another level that night. That hit me like a gut shot where it was, you know what? My brother's married. He has 2 beautiful little children, and he might not even be here in a few months to see them grow up. And he understands love. He understands unconditional love. He understands philia, eros, agape. He understands all of it, and I don't understand it. I have this checklist. Love for me is I'll do something for you, but I need you to do something for me in return. That's not love. That's like bartering. That's trading. If I have to give you, if I need something in return from you to give something to you, then I didn't give you anything. I traded with you. And that's how our relationship was. And so I'm like, I want to learn how to love like my brother Mike loves. So I vowed that I'm going to start to love Tricia properly. Mother Teresa said, where you don't see love, put love, and there will be love. So I started inserting love into our relationship, and Tricia started inserting love back. And before you know it, she's planning our wedding. She's trying to rush the whole thing, so hopefully my mom and my brother can make it. My brother didn't make it, as you can see. He passed away, and I needed this. I'm sad to say it, but I really needed this to happen. I would have never fully gone back to God, fully, like on my knees, and had a full-blown reversion if it weren't for him dying. And so when he died, that's when I just threw in the cards and said, that's it, game over. Like, I'm so empty inside right now, God, that you get in the driver's seat, I'll get in the passenger seat. And I got to tell you, from the moment that I did that, guys, if you take anything away from tonight, the moment that you surrender it all and you let go and let God and just give it all to him, that becomes the greatest joy in life and a life worth living. From that moment, I asked Tricia to marry me. She thankfully said yes. We get married a little while later. And then that fall when we got married, a good friend of my dad took my dad on retreat because he knew that he was hurting after losing his son. A year later, my dad takes us on that same retreat in Malvern, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia at the retreat house. I went on that retreat. Oh my gosh. They were talking about all this stuff, theology of the body, contraceptives, like relationships, all this stuff. No surprise, it was no coincidence. And then, for those of you who are Catholic, I go in and I have my first confession. I haven't had reconciliation since like senior year of high school at that point, like 10 years was the last time I had gone. For those of you who are Christian, that's like a life confession, or like a baptism where you're like, yep, Lord, I'm giving my life to you. That's it. Enough with the old life. I went in there and I dumped it all. I mean, all of it. All of it. Everything. I came home, I was blabbing. I was so filled up with the Holy Spirit, I was blabbing like an idiot to Tricia when I came home after retreat. It's funny to hear her talk about this. She's like, makes fun of me. And she's like, he's like just talking. I was so happy. I felt like free again for the first time in all those years. And I said, honey, will you go to confession also? And she's like, I'm not going, And then she wound up going. And in that moment, it was basically like God gave us a timeout and a start over. So right after that, I said, honey, I just learned all about the contraceptive pill this weekend. Do you know how bad the contraceptive pill is for you? And she's like, yeah, I'm a nurse. I know what the side effects are. And I was like, I love you. I said, you can't take it. I'm like, I would rather, if you need us to abstain, I'll abstain. But I was like, I can't. I love you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. Please stop taking it. And ladies, that's how guys should be talking to you, right? She probably appreciated me really genuinely loving her, and willing the good of her. And so she stops taking the pill. Here's how amazing God is. Check this out. She gets pregnant a month later. Guess when our oldest son is born? My brother Mike's birthday, the one who had just passed away from cancer. No coincidences at all. If he doesn't die, there's no way my dad winds up on retreat. I might not have even been engaged and married. There's no way I go on retreat. There's no way I go in and confess everything and ask God to take me back and have a start over in life. And when he says in the Bible that he makes things new, I know he makes things new. I lived it. I feel it. I get chills talking about it, guys. Like, he makes things new. And then he gave us a fresh start, and Tricia got to go, and we got that start over together. When Petey was born, our oldest, he's named after me and my brother, Peter Michael. And when Petey was born, I choked up in the delivery room. I was so happy on August 12th, 2005. I choked up. He's 20 years old now. He's in college like you guys. He goes to Dominican. He plays baseball there. And I choked up, and the nurses were making fun of me. They said, this dad's so happy. He's crying. They didn't know why I was crying. I grew up Catholic my whole life. I knew all about God. I was taught about it K through 12. I never knew him. And I didn't know he knew me. And in that moment when Petey was born, for the first time ever in my life, I knew God knew me. Not the other 8 billion people on the planet, me. He knew Pete. He knew the 2 deepest wounds that I had in my heart were the abortions, and he knew that losing my brother was killing me inside, killing me. And he went down like the divine surgeon that he is, and he stitched up my wounded heart and said, it's all right, I got this. Fresh start. When I say all things new, I mean all things new. And from that moment on, as a family, now instead of just mourning my brother's death, now we're celebrating. Every August 12th, we're lighting candles for 2 cakes, one for Mikey, one for Petey, and we're like celebrating this. He's like, I know about losing your brother and how it's hurting your family, and I'm going to give you not only a baby, but I'm going to give him to you on your brother's birthday to help heal your family from that wound. Beautiful. Tricia and I come out of that experience in that hospital and was like, man, whatever the church teaching is, we're on it. Like no more playing games and like cafeteria menu picking and choosing what we're going to follow. We were like, yep, open to life, no problem. So on that note, the word contraceptive or contraception, what does it mean? Some of you guys might have learned this in a class. Let's break it down. Root word. What's contra mean? Yeah, against. Against what? Against conception, right? Against the beginning of life. So when God wants to come into our lives, he wants to come into all rooms of the house. That includes the bedroom. He wants to be in a part of all of our life, not just certain parts of our life. I know a lot of great Christians or a lot of great Catholics, and they're like, yeah, God, you're great. You're in charge of my life, except from the waist down. From the waist down, I know better than you do, God, so I'm going to figure this part out. It can't be like that. When we surrender and give it to him, we give it to him. So after that, it was awesome. A year later, Nikki was born. A year and a half later, Alyssa was born. And I thought I loved having my boys, and then all of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe I'm going to have 4 boys just like my dad, you know? And then all of a sudden, this little girl was born. And when Alyssa was born, she melted my heart. Absolutely melted my heart. I loved her. And I wouldn't even touch her. I don't think I gave her a bath until she was 11 months old. I didn't want to mess her up in any way. I was like, I'll just take care of the boys, Tricia. And I'm having the best time with them. Guys, when you have your sons, someday, hopefully, God willing, I'm like wrestling with them, tackling them, you know, I'm like having the greatest time. And then Alyssa's born and she's this precious little girl. And you know when babies get sick sometimes and you have to like sleep up with them at nighttime? Well, Tricia has her ears pierced and has like the bows in her head and I'm just falling in love with her and she gets sick and I'm sleeping up with her for like a whole week because she's all stuffed up and congested. And one night when it's just, you know, quiet and nobody's around, I felt God tell me as clear as day in my heart. He said, Pete, do you see how much you love your little girl? And I was like, absolutely, God. And he said, Tricia was her dad's little girl. Did you love her or did you lust after her? And I was like, oh, man. And I'm like, all right, God, I promise you, I will spend the rest of my life making sure that our guys don't ever go after girls in the same way that I approach Tricia, and they understand that that young lady is their dad's little girl. And that same thing for ladies, that they want to lay down their lives also for the guys, and we can have these great relationships together. And then I heard God tell me also, like, not only is that Tricia's dad's little girl, but she's my daughter. She's a daughter of mine. And you didn't treat her the way that I would have wanted her treated. And I was like, I got it, God. I'm going to love her purely forever. So then from that point on, guys, we're like, oh, man, this is perfect. We're like, we're just going to keep doing this. And we did, but we were a little overwhelmed because we had 3 kids in 2.5 years. But now we're making God a part of our life, a part of our family. I mean, Tricia always jokes. She says, just praying together at first was a little bit weird for us. So I don't know if you guys are comfortable and confident praying together, but we weren't comfortable and confident to like pray together. We start praying together, and that was like new and weird for us. Now it's so simple. Our kids, my gosh, we're out to eat at a restaurant, and they're like, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. Like everybody in the restaurant's looking at us. If we get in the car, and we're in the car any longer than 20 or 30 minutes, we're usually praying a rosary, something. And we just are just loving and enjoying this life. And then we were on hiatus for a few years because we were a little overwhelmed. And then after that, we had a few more kids. And we had Jenna was born, another little girl. And then after that, another little boy, Vincenzo. Then we had a miscarriage. Then we had Gia. She's our rainbow baby. And then we had another miscarriage. And then fast forward a few more years, and we had Giovanni. He's 6 years old. Oh, my gosh. He's awesome. Tricia and I are like grandparents now. It's like the older ones take care of the little ones. It's so cute. Gia thinks it's like her baby. She's always taking care of them. And, you know, and it's really, really adorable. But I'm working out one day at home, And I'm in the basement, and Giovanni comes down and throws rollerblades on, and then he's shooting baskets down in the basement. So while he has his rollerblades on, he's shooting, and he drains one like long distance across the basement. And I look up at him after he drains it, and he goes, "I'm built different." And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, dude, you are something else. Absolutely love him. So this is Tricia, and God was just showing off. We've been through so many, I mean, like having no money, bankruptcy, like you name it, and then this happened for us. This was just God showing off. You know John Legend, who's from The Voice, is it The Voice? Is that the show on TV? And Michael Bublé, you know, like yeah, we got to meet them. That's One Direction. God was totally showing off and giving us like things that we just don't even need or deserve, and he was just doing it because he loves us and just wants to tell us how much he loves us. Always remember in our relationships, no matter what they are, relationships with your best girlfriend, your best guy friend, working on a project at school, business partnerships later on, or even more importantly, a marriage. If we keep God at the center of each one of those relationships can be pure and good and true and beautiful. So let's keep him at the center. And this is our crew. That's their pregame huddling for Christmas, right before Christmas morning. You know, what's Santa bringing us tomorrow? And then that's at the hospital when Gia was born, and this is at the hospital when Giovanni was born. And here I am looking at this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the most blessed guy ever. And I didn't deserve this. So we have this beautiful story of God's love, his mercy, his forgiveness, his healing, and his grace that he just wove together in our lives. His love, his mercy, his forgiveness, his healing, and his grace. And Tricia and I know if he can do this for us, he can do this for each and every single one of you. But our big hope is that we can get you to skip past that bad part that Tricia and I had in high school and college and just get right to the good part, because that's the real, beautiful, joyful life that you want. So I have, that's our first and our last. That's Petey, and that is Giovanni. And then if any of you know the Sisters of Life, they are an order of nuns and religious sisters, and they take an extra vow just for the dignity and sanctity of all human life. Beautiful, beautiful order. But they came over to our house. They're not really supposed to do this because they're like serving moms and babies and all that, but they love our family, and they came over to our house for the Super Bowl. And it was so funny. They come in, and I love them so much. They come in, and they're eating wings and all. Our kids were like, the Sisters of Life eat wings? It's like, I guess so. It was beautiful. And if you guys want to YouTube us, you'll see, we spoke at Life Fest and at their conference in front of like thousands of students. So you can just pull us up and other talks. That's our family also. And then I have a ton of like theology of the body stuff and all that, but if it's okay, if you want, I can put this stuff up for you guys. Oh, we have a bunch of merch. If you want to wear your faith in public, it's loveandlifestore.org. There's stickers and magnets. Anything that you guys want to take, you can take. It's free. It doesn't matter. Our goal is this. Tricia and I just want to share this with everybody. Choose love, choose life, and choose to live a Christian life of joy and happiness. So love for us is love of God, a deeper love of God, and a more authentic love with each other, right? A more authentic love with one another. And then choose life, not just life, obviously we're against abortion, but to choose to live a joyful, abundant Christian life and to share that with others, that joy. Joy, if you want to know what that acronym stands for, you can write it down, put it like on your mirror or next to your bed or in your car. Joy is Jesus, others, yourself. Jesus, others, yourself. When we keep things in that order, where we focus on God first, others second, and ourselves third, that'll help us to keep, things in priority, a more joyful life. And so there's, so much more that I can share with you, but let's open it up for some questions. You guys ask me. I just gave you a lot of information.